Who shall ascend the hill of the Lord? Who shall stand upon his holy mountain? The Bible says, he that has a clean hands and a pure heart, that has not lifted up his soul unto vanity, nor sworn deceitfully. Which mountain? The Bible says in Joel chapter 2 verse 1, it says, blow the trumpet in Zion, sound an alarm upon that holy mountain. Which alarm? Because in the day of thy power, you will find certain people that the immortals call thy people. You didn't arrive alone. There are people who ought to stand up. The day you blow your horn, you will find them gathered from every corner. You thought you were alone all this while. Blow that horn and find an assembly. He says there will be an assembly under Zion. When the horn is blown, the inhabitants will tremble. You don't know the people whose salvation is dependent on your rising. And many of you are captains in generations. When a captain don't rise, all his battalion member, none of them will understand their purpose, because their purpose is tied to the rise of their captain. It's a captain that arrives, and suddenly many other purposes begins to find expression under this purpose that was found. There are purposes that are hidden under other purposes, and if the primary purpose does not open up, all of the others who ought to see light from this light, they will never come again. And so that's why to him whom much is given, much is required. The judgment will be heavy on those who ought to blow alarms in time, and they never blew it. So there were many men who never knew their purpose in life, because the person whose purpose was supposed to be a branch for them never rose. You are full of yourself. It's about who to marry. It's about that girl. You want to impress a lady at the expense of a nation. Many of you, you are already a nation, but you don't know yet. You are a whole nation tied to one person. That if you rise, if only you rise. Where was I when Daddy Kumuyi was giving his life to Christ? I was nowhere to be found, but inside him was me. And the day he answered the call, God was preparing another man who will find his essence from this one. And today I stand. I'm a product of many graces, but I will never forget Daddy Kumuyi. One day I prayed to God for my children taught teacher. There was one lady, one particular woman that was a church teacher in children church. She continued to labor and made us cram memory verses. And I thought about her recently, and I didn't know where to find her. I did not know how to locate her and bless her. So I began to pray one prayer. Lord, as I go across cities, across territories and landscape, remove some of the souls I win and give it to her. Let it be for her that I yielded it. That thank you for the labor. Where are those who are called into children church ministry? Just because it does not look like a green pasture, nobody gives seeds and tithes in that place. But the children church is where the battle for creation is currently. It is the children that Satan is worrying day and night. He is worried to colonize them. And those who were sent there, they didn't show up. And since they didn't show up, the children will be mentored into chains and addictions. Their hands and feet will be bounded. Let me tell you what it means for your hand to be bounded. It's not enough for your feet to be bound. If they bound your feet, you can never be consistent spiritually. You can't walk. That's what it means. If they bind your hand, you can't lift the horn of your ordination. So you would know something about yourself when you find for you, number one, you are not consistent spiritually, and number two, you cannot do the things that you know you must do to carry the horn of your rising. Somebody is struggling there with fasting. You are struggling even from morning till 12 o'clock. He said, it's your hand that they bound. It's a sign that the tool where you will use to lift that horn before you even blow it. So there are many idle people just walking in the valley. All they are waiting for is a sound. The trumpet cannot make an uncertain sound. Every sound has a message. And the wandering population of the greater number of people are waiting for the sound. If they hear their sound, they will gather. And so you probably are looking at her and saying, look at this loose girl, this prostitute. It was your sound that did not come. That is why her purpose did not find expression.